Come manifest your best life with 190 Vision.
Have you ever wondered why you are where you are in your life? Maybe why you have a certain group of friends, or why you have the job that you have. Maybe it could even be why you're part of a particular religion or church or organization. Well, it has something to do with a thing called resonance. And my husband is now going to explain to us what that means.
Okay. You make me sound like a resonance expert.
Well, you have some knowledge on it, so please share this with us so we can understand how resonance relates to all those questions I just asked.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I remember back in school, we did a physics experiment, right? It was a very simple thing, actually. It was more of a demonstration. And that's how physics got my attention. I remember the physics teacher, he had this one, they call them forks, but it's not really a fork, but they call them forks. You know how in music, you are into music or singing, they had those things like tuning forks. There you go. Is that what they're called? Tuning forks?
Yes, they're called
right.
Tuning forks.
Okay. So he had these tuning forks, and he held one up, and then he said, this tuning fork is tuned to C, whatever it was. And he put it down, and he hit it, and it vibrated. I have no idea what C sounds like. It just made a sound to me, right? Oh, that's interesting. It made a sound. And then he took another fork, tuning fork. He put it there. Said, this fork is tuned to A. Great. Sounds like the alphabet. He put it down, and then he hit that fork, and it made a sound. It was obviously different. The sound was different than the sound from the C fork. I'm calling it C fork. Or how would you describe that? C fork? Or
yeah, that's fine. I think everyone will understand. Yes.
All right. And then he said, okay, now here is another fork, tuning fork, and this, I want you to guess what this fork is tuned to. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, how am I gonna guess that? I don't even know what you're talking about, really. And so far, it was interesting that it made that sound, but if you hit on anything, it makes sound. So he really wasn't getting my attention too much with that, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so he put it down, and then he hit it. And then when he hit it, oh, and by the way, he had the C fork on one side of the table and the A fork on the other side of the table. Mm-hmm. And then he took this fork and put it in the middle between them, and they were far apart from one end of the table to the next. It was maybe a 6 feet table in length. And so he hit the fork, and then the one to the right started to vibrate. And so I thought that was interesting. I said, wait a minute. He hit this fork, and this fork starts to make this noise. All of a sudden, the C fork started to make the same noise, and then they started, at first it didn't sound like they were in tune together. Then all of a sudden they were in tune, and it was like one sound, but before it sounded like two different sounds. So he definitely had my attention there. And so I looked, and I started thinking, and he asked, so this fork in the middle, what do you think it's tuned to? Of course, we're all trying to guess, right? And somebody said, it's tuned to the C fork. And of course, the person knew music. And I kind of figured that out too once that one started vibrating. And he said, you're correct. And he started explaining why the C fork started vibrating. That this fork that was in the middle was also a C fork tuned to the same frequency. So then when you hit it, the vibration goes out, the frequency goes out, right? And as it travels, anything that has the same frequency will be affected by it. So when the frequency traveled out, it found the C fork that's tuned to the same frequency, so it activated it. And that C fork started behaving just like the other C fork, And now they were in tune. They started out not being in tune, but then they got in tune. And it sounded like one fork just making the noise. That's the concept of resonance, where things start to behave similar to each other in every way. All right? Have you ever, and I think I've done this with you and the kids, where there's one person standing in front of a group of people, and this person could just be standing there, but the other people are looking at the individual, right? So we'll pretend that the person is giving a speech or talking to the other people. Let's say there's 3 or 4 other people there listening to this person talk. Have you ever noticed that if the person starts to sway side to side, I did do this with you guys, and you let me know if you remember this. As the person starts to sway from side to side, like left to right, what happens with the people that are watching the individual after a while?
They start to sway side to side.
Why is that?
Well, based on your concept of resonance just now, I would think that it's because they're all at the same frequency, so they all start moving back and forth. Or maybe it's just they see the action, so then they just start doing it because they see it happening.
In nature, nature always wants to be in balance. Now that's chemistry, right? In chemistry, you work with equations. And when you work with equations, it's always about balancing out the left side to the right side. They always have to be in balance. And almost every question you get has to do with balancing, creating equilibrium is what we call it. It's the same thing in nature. So the moment someone sees someone doing something, automatically, naturally, they want to imitate it so they can all be doing the same thing. All right? Now, one person might not follow. That means that that person then is an outlier, right? As in, okay, they think differently. But normally, everyone wants to follow. And they start to sway side to side. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If the person starts to move his or her hand a certain way, all of a sudden, like if the person puts his or her hand on his cheeks or her cheek, all of a sudden the other people are doing the same thing. Again, equilibrium. Everything has to be the same. So resonance is the same concept.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yes.
About resonance, what resonance is?
Yes.
So what does it have to do with anything is the question, right?
Yes.
Now that I've explained that to you, let's think a little bit now. Let's say, for example, you're always thinking, why do bad things always happen to me? Go ahead. Explain, use the logic I just gave you now and see if you could deduce what will probably be your experience.
Well, if they're already saying, why do bad things always happen to me? Then in their mind, bad things are always happening to them. Why? Because they're probably putting that energy out there.
Or in this case, a frequency, right?
Right.
So everything has a frequency, as we've always said. Energy is everywhere. Everything is made up of energy. Thoughts are energy. So the moment you put that out there, that thing about bad things also have a frequency. And depending on what the bad things are, that frequency then is being created by that person's thought. So now it's just a matter of the frequency finding the bad thing that resonates with the vibration or frequency of the individual that's thinking that.
Okay.
And the moment that happens, then that so-called bad thing now is attracted to that individual that always thinks that bad things happen to him or her, because resonance now has taken place. See that? It might travel a distance to find it, but there is no limit to energy or to frequency. There is no bound. It's not like a frequency stops because there's a wall in the way. It goes beyond that. Energy goes beyond a wall, goes beyond any physical boundaries. And that's why resonance is so powerful, because it's boundless. So you think a thought, it will find something that resonates with it and bring it back to you.
To watch the full episode of this video, please go to the 190 Vision channel on Roku TV or Amazon Fire. Request help by visiting the 190vision.com website. Click on the Help Me tab and submit the consent form. Join others that are on the path of manifesting their best life through the 190 Vision Facebook group. Learn more about other topics by listening to podcasts on the 190 Vision Spotify channel or by watching videos on the 190 Vision YouTube channel. Help support the 190 Vision community by clicking on the Donate button that is located at the bottom of every page on our website.